So we've got a report this morning that there was a suicide bombing outside of the airport in Kabul, which has left at least 13 people killed and 15 injured. These people consist of Taliban officials, women, children, and even U.S. troops. Now, we've got more time before we find out more about who some of these people were. However, that just brings me to the point that, I've yet to do a segment on the ongoing withdrawal in Afghanistan. So we've been there for over 20 fucking years. Joe Biden said that he refuses to pass this crisis on to a fifth president, and he is doing the right thing. We're not over there for women's rights. We're not over there for fucking human rights. Especially one of our top allies are the Saudis. We're over there for the trillions of dollars in mineral wealth. We're over there to prevent, China and Russia. We're over there to prevent China and Russia from gaining any ground on us. And we're over there because of the military-industrial complex. Because bombs are our single greatest export in the U.S. Not a lot of people fucking realize that. Suspected suicide bombers struck the crowded gates of Kabul airport with at least 2 explosions on Thursday, causing a bloodbath among desperate civilians hoping to flee and casting the final days of the Western airlift of its allies into chaos. A Taliban official said at least 13 people, including children, had been killed. A surgical hospital run by an Italian charity said it was treating more than 60 wounded. The Pentagon said U.S. personnel were among those hurt.
Let's talk about Afghanistan. You were, of course, U.S. ambassador to the UN during George W. Bush's tenure during the wars in Afghanistan and Iraq. And he, your first big boss, I guess you could say, said this week.
I think it is, yeah. Because I think the consequences are going to be unbelievably bad. And I'm sad. And Laura and I spend a lot of time with Afghan women, and they're scared. And I think about all the interpreters and people that helped, not only U.S. troops, but NATO troops. And they're just, it seems like they're just going to be left behind to be slaughtered by these very brutal people. And it breaks my heart.
Bush, to be clear, was asked if it was a mistake, and he said, I think it is. I know you agree with him on that. Perhaps for I think your singular, your guiding reason might be slightly different. I want to talk to you about that in a moment. But first, I want to ask you, why is Bush blasting Biden now when, even as you have said, Trump was going to do the same thing? Why is he doing this now?
Well, I think President Bush has done something really remarkable. It's how former presidents ought to behave. He's tried to stay out of politics.
So these are the people that mainstream media, CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, are all having on to sympathize with over Biden's withdrawal from Afghanistan. Prior to this fucking smear campaign, that was the only place where Joe Biden's approval rating had actually gone up, was whenever he decided to pull out of Afghanistan. Now they're trying to make it about the women and the children, when it was never about the women and children. It was never about the women and children. I just told you. It was about the trillions of dollars in mineral wealth. It was about the military-industrial complex. It was about the companies that create bombs and arm, our allies and U.S. citizens that these people are in bed with. And ever since this smear campaign, now Biden's approval rating for withdrawing from the war has gone down. I believe last time I heard it was around 25 to 35%. And it is fucking disgusting.